the feelings.
The feelings.
And this is what my point was: get those feelings out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's because the feelings will kill people.
Mm-hmm.
That'll kill relations. It's always about the feelings. It's like, no, listen, at the end of the day, like feelings should not be involved in any real partnership, like in a business partnership. Obviously, if there's no feelings involved in a marriage, that's not a real marriage. You know what I mean?
You need some harmony. You need some harmony in the relationship.
Yeah. But no, exactly. Sorry. Like, so feelings, when it comes to business, as soon as I hear somebody, well, I feel as if, I'm like, that's nice that you feel that way.
But it's not logical.
It's not logical.
Hello and welcome back to the DC Talks with Mr. David Chinelli. We're back in here, man. Super excited to see you, bro.
I know, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
High five for a little
Air five, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Brian, our audio guy, is separating us, keeping us so far away. Hopefully,
so far away.
Yeah.
You know,
we looking good today or what?
Fresh in the Burberry shirt.
Gotta make sure my little hair doesn't stick out. It drives me nuts when I see them. I don't know if you guys have a problem with your hair. At least I have hair. Listen, I have hair. I'm not complaining. Sorry,
what
Brian.
a blessing it is to have hair.
But sometimes I turn upside of my head. So if you're ever watching I watch sometimes my podcast and I have this part of my hair. It's called the hairline. And I've tried cutting it short and it sticks up. You gotta grow long, and then it's a losing battle.
Yeah, DC, you're becoming a silver fox now, right? Like with the grays. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's gonna hurt my feelings.
But you know, like that shows you're a distinguished gentleman.
I know, it's true, but I don't have that much white hair.
No, it's not white hair, but it's just a little spritz, a little salt and pepper look. You know.
The other day, I laughed and I showered. I walked up. I showered in the basement because I work out, and I walk upstairs, and
then you hop in the sauna.
Yeah, but not this day. After the sauna, after I shower, I shower after the sauna, by the way, because you sweat your balls off. But so I'm walking upstairs and I'm naked. And Natalie's in the room. I'm like, oh, and I just mentioned that. I'm like, I thought I had from my towel like a hair. A string of white string. Yeah. Oh no, it was a chest hair, white as fucking snow. I said to Natalie, look at this. She was in there. She started laughing. I plucked it out. I'm like, oh my God.
It's actual white hair.
Oh, it was white. It wasn't even gray, dude. It was white. That's why I was like, okay, I think I'm a little too young to get a gray. I get white. Ouch.
Yeah, you need that just for men on deck, DC.
Yeah. But it was just right here, right? It was just on the side. I don't have a lot of chest hair, but it's like,
I mean, I haven't seen your chest hair, but I know like the silver fox is coming out.
Here we go.
Anyways, man. Well, one interesting thing I wanted to discuss today, out of like recent events that have happened, that involve me, and also it involves you as well too. But it really brought up this idea of like business ethics and understanding how to manage the ethical procedures and how to go on about things. A subsect of different topics you can discuss upon this is things like reputation, dealing with partnerships when it comes with money, separations, moving on from that, and also settling things amicably, what to do and what not to do. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm just setting up the agenda of what we're going to be discussing and how this story happens.
We can't get into so much details.
We can't get into
our details, but yeah.
It's our details, but just for legality purposes, I'm not going to mention any names, but, it's up to interpretation. But, exiting business partnerships and moving on from business partnerships presents a lot of challenges that you might not even know about.
I would say partnerships in general.
In general,
whether it's common law, you're with your, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, husband, wife, whatever the situation. Any kind of partnership split, there's always going to be some sort of, like you're hoping
some residue.
Of course,
some residue,
and that carries on, and there's some financial obligations that are attached to that, and there's other emotional attachments as well. So it's not an easy process. And part of my job obviously is, unfortunately, I've dealt with a number of, divorces, splits. Some of them have been great, and some of them not so great. The split with your company too is one of the ones that we don't always see stuff that it's happening on the forefront, but once you're, I don't know if you know, but realtors a lot of times we're also psychologists. we're undesignated, I guess, or undiplomat. I don't know what you call it.
Psychologists, therapists.
Yeah, but it's part of the thing, right? We sometimes have to talk to one side and have to talk to the other and make sure and got to massage things on both sides. Other times both of them could sit in the same room, they're on the same page. But part of our job is managing relationships, even when it comes to a split. Unfortunately, I have a really good job doing that, and I have some great stories, but you've seen some situations where it's been really shitty and other realtors didn't know how to handle it and they couldn't figure it out. And it's been not great, and then I had to step in and help out. And other times with business relationships it's one of those other things. Relationships in general, guys, relationships in general are difficult as it is. Yeah. Even when you're together, let alone when you split.
And no one ever predicts the bad times, right? Everything can be kumbaya, like you can all be lovey-dovey. And I think this is even with marriages as well. I mean, of course, I can't really speak about that, or because I know you're married, but being in a relationship as well, you both go into it with like amazing intentions.
Well, you'd hope so, right?
You go in amazing intentions.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say everybody goes in with amazing intentions.
Really?
What I've seen before with some relationships, people get married sometimes because they feel like that's what they have to do, not what they feel they should do. When you get married, there's a reason why you get married. You should want to get married, right? Because think about it in the world, because otherwise you're putting a lot at risk. Right? You're putting on your own autonomy in general, your risk. You're putting your sex life on risk because you can't really be promiscuous. You're putting your financial status at risk, your properties. Like, because I'm in a situation right now with some of my clients where they had bought properties before they were married, and now the other spouse, since they've been married, whether they're on title or not, on the sale of the property, they have to give them half, because they lived in the property. If you lived in a property as a spouse over I think it's 6 or 9 months, they're entitled to the profits, not even from when they moved in. So that's the sad part. And like, that's one thing you have to understand. So if you're going into a relationship and you're not in a marriage, especially, or a live-in relationship, and you're not really gung-ho about it, like you're just kind of like wishy-washy, don't do it. Like, think about what those hesitations are, because I hate to tell you, it doesn't get better. It not the sense. Sorry, I disagree. Sorry, your feelings of that doubt may not get better.
Yeah,
right. That's what I mean. Like, so I would say, like, and every relationship, as even marriages, there's ups, there's downs, there's good, there's bad. Like, it happens, right? If you don't have that fundamental idea in your mind that this is what I love and this is what I want to do, your relationship's doomed.
And what's your relationship with, I know you manage a lot of relationships because you have clients who are married and et cetera, but on a personal level, have you had any business partnership that has perhaps started on the good side but ended not so ceremoniously? Like, and it's not like a disaster.
I haven't had any partnerships.
You've never had any partnerships?
No, other for business wise, no. And it's, and not in the business sense, I haven't. And that's one of the reasons, why I thought about, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't. I have besides my wife, I do have a condo with a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to set up like this whole thing about like the lawyers. We haven't actually set up like a separation agreement because we wanted to do that, because we just didn't do it, right? Because pretty much the law is pretty black and white. We're putting in 50-50. So it's like, when this kind of case, and we're best friends, right? So, but there's other people I know that I wouldn't get into a relationship with them, because unless I had something like that, like you have to know your relationship with the other person. So my buddy Steve and I that own the property, like, again, like we're on the same page. We always been the same. If we're not on the same page, we'll have a beer. We talk about it, and you've met him before, and we talk about it. And we say like, okay, what's going to be like, but not everybody has communication skills. So you almost have to put it down in black and white. Now, I'm not saying for you not to get in a partnership, right? But you know how to know the intentions of it too. And before you get into any partnership, whether it's marriage, whether it's business, and you're feeling something like, I'm not really sure, right, about certain things, put it in writing in case this relationship breaks up. What are your obligations? What happens in this kind of situation? Right? Because at the end of the day, it should be black and white. There should be no gray area, right? And if you're moving along a relationship and certain things get added to it, it should be a living, breathing document. It should not be a document no, I can't even say it well. It shouldn't be a document which you guys sign and put away, and then the hopes it never comes true. If, for example, say I had a business partner and we wanted to build a business, and all of a sudden we purchased a property. Well, now we have to have that property in there. What happens if the company sells? What do we do with this partnership? Okay, what if we had certain equipment? Who gets what? What is going to spell it out? Sure, you might have to pay for lawyers, but it costs you less money in the long run and less heartache. That is what I'm finding with business relationships. People don't treat it like that. They figure, oh, we're friends. We got into this. Like, we'll figure it out later on. It's very rare that the relationship, when it splits, is very amicable. It's very rare.
And that's a great point because, you've read Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, and etc. All right. Laws of Success. But in one of the chapters that reminds me, it's, he was talking about doing a self-analysis, not on yourself, but also on other people. And one of the key things he said is that if you really want to analyze someone, understand them, how they're like in certain situations. One of them was, okay, how they like when they're angry? How do they react when they're angry? How do they like when they hear the success that you've had? And how do they react to that? How do they like when they lose something? How do they react? And then, he laid out a bunch of different situations, but one key thing is, as he said, is money. How they like when they get money, how they like when they lose money, and how they like when there's money involved between two people. That really shows you the true nature of someone is. And until you go through,
this is resonating with you right now. You're getting fiery. I can see it in your eyes.
Yeah, right.
Don't get angry, buddy. I love you.
I love you too, DC. But you don't really know these situations because you can't do like a homework assessment of like, okay, let's make up this fake scenario. What would you do? Because someone is going to put on an act right then and there. But when it's actually a real life situation, real time, then you get to know the nature of the beast, right? There's entitlement involved. There's things that people feel that they are owed or obligated to. Entitled.
The feelings. And this is what my point was: get those feelings out of the way. It's because the feelings will kill people. That'll kill relations. It's always about the feelings. It's like, no, listen, at the end of the day, like feelings should not be involved in any real partnership, like in a business partnership. Obviously, if there's no feelings involved in a marriage, that's not a real marriage. You know what I mean?
You need some harmony. You need some harmony in the relationship.
Yeah. But no, exactly. Sorry. Like, so feelings, when it comes to business, as soon as I hear somebody, well, I feel as if, I'm like, that's nice that you feel that way,
but it's not logical.
It's not logical. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Like, what's actually, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I wanted to make that point. As soon as somebody says their feelings of the time, as soon as that word F comes into the equation, they've already lost. Because feelings will mask judgment. It should be black and white in certain situations. When a business, it should be black and white. I don't care what kind of business you are. Your business and your business should be a business, unless you're in a not-for-profit situation. Your business should be there to make you money, right? And it should be. I'll add this on, and for the betterment of society. If you're helping society, if you're helping people, the money will follow. That's how I believe businesses run, right? If you're there just to fuck people and screw people over, your business won't last very long. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
You might get your 5 minutes of fame. You might get $1 million, but you'll lose $1 million, probably more in lawsuits, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Lawyer fees can really add up, right? And if you're not ready to fight, then you're not really equipped properly. So that's what I was saying, right? Like when money is involved in business situations, you really get to understand the true nature of what someone is about. And another thing, when someone is backed up against the wall, right? It's interesting how partnerships evolve over time. And when someone's backed up and they have no other options, you're reaching for certain things to really claim that this is the way it's supposed to go. So,
sorry, I know you're
right.
Because I know what happened, so that's why. Yeah. Anyway,
right. So when you're backed up and you're looking for reasons and things that you feel owed, it really shows you like how, if this was like a great partnership, you would know that, look, the truth of the matter is this, and this is what happened. You have no obligation to come back and say X, Y, Z, especially if you're trying to get lawyers involved and there's nothing binding in there. So this is where partnerships go wrong, DC, right? If you're going to involve the law in an agreement that you think was made, but it was something that was made in good faith, you cannot now come and say you're owed that. And I think this is where a lot of partnerships happen, is like, and I know you have your partnership with Steve, right? And this is just, sure. I completely understand your point, your partnership, but I'm just playing devil's advocate here just because we're like trying to have a discussion here, right? Absolutely. Because now your relationship with Steve, you have this condo, it's probably appreciated in value. And one day Steve can come and be like, you know what? Like, I want out and actually I want this. I'm owed X, Y, probably costs that were hidden, or maybe he's bringing to the front that inflate his value of what he he's entitled to. And you're like, no, like this was half and half, like, but you have no agreement. So how do you prepare for those moments? Because you have a strong relationship.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different when it comes to, I would say it would come different when it comes to real estate, because we went in there and the lawyer knew from the beginning it was 50-50. So when she set up, so our lawyer is Gina Kostopoulos from Masterson. She was on our show. So Gina does a lot of my stuff. So we set up with her, we kind of talked about a 50-50, right? So she knew what was coming in. And we also have emails and a trail of what's happening on the 50-50 side, right? Now, it's a little bit different if something, so we also have a joint account. We haven't really been paid. Everything's been coming out. And so we haven't got to a situation where it's like somebody had to interject other money and then something happens. But there's been situations because this money, this unit we have, we're exceeding the funds we have to spend out. Now, if it comes to a situation where that's not the case, then you should have an agreement. So for example, if we had a roof leak, or say we own a house and there was a roof leak and it cost $17,000, let's make it a round number, $20,000. And I only have $5,000. Well, that's again round number. Let's do 6,000 and Steve had 14. Well, that should be made whole at some point, right? So have an agreement in there, or whether it's based on those kinds of facts, and that, that they would be left whole. So up until person's made whole, I would have some sort of agreement on the side so you don't come to this kind of situation. So I know what you're coming from. It's like, so when it comes to intangibles, is the hardest thing, because when it's a property, it's a tangible asset. There are numbers involved in it. When it's a business, different, like a partnership, then there's things like goodwill, which you can't add money for. You can, but it's not tangible in order to mathematically come up with a solution. Maybe the most, I don't know, sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? So there's a homeless guy outside kind of distracted me. So even something like good faith, there may be something which you're worth, which you can negotiate on, I think, at that point. But again, that might be after the fact. That's the only thing but there's certain things like equipment. There are certain things like a brand. Like a brand also has, like I said, intangibles with it, right? So those things should be taken into consideration. You can't, until the partnership ends, you're not going to know what the value of that is. So it becomes, what you don't want to do is become emotionally involved and then say one thing and then screw people over just because you feel like you're entitled to this money. That is the wrong way for it.
Yeah. And
absolutely stay away from fraud and stealing other people's money.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to mention. When money gets involved, people do anything to really try and recoup it. And it can really bring a dark side to people. Some things that person might not even be aware that they're capable of. And there's one line by J. Cole in one of his tracks. He's like he's a musician. He's like, anybody can be a killer if you push them to the limits, right? So everybody has the capability. I'm sure we all do. Perhaps if it's something that's protecting ourselves, maybe it's protecting our loved ones. Like, you might do things that you might not even know or even have the presence of mind to think that you're capable of. So money, right? When someone feels entitled to money, they feel like they're owed it. They feel like you try to do something above them and to make them feel like, they're not relevant, which is not true. They will do anything to try and get it, even when it comes to jeopardizing future relationships, which is very interesting.
Yeah, well, it was reminding me of two situations. One, I was talking with Masterson-in-law about another thing as well. And we had a situation where we had a listing in which the city of Toronto, we felt, was mapping it the wrong way, and
because zonings or something.
The zonings, the Toronto Real Estate Board had it based on the Toronto board, but there's a Heritage Society that was saying it was actually part of a different, and it mattered because one was in a less desirable area. So then the one we were told it was in, so we were going to fight back and forth. And when I was talking to the lawyer, when I was talking to Chris about this, she's like, "Dave, sometimes it doesn't matter if you're right in the eyes of the law." Like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, in this kind of situation, like, if they told you it's their system, they've told you their parameters, you might be right with something else, but it doesn't matter. These are their parameters. You'll still lose. Like, that's interesting. And then there's another situation. What's his name? The comedian, the guy who always takes off his shirt, Kirshner, they got the belly, Kurt Kirshner. Have you seen that?
Do you know?
Is it Kurt Kirshner? I'm gonna Google it real too. You understand what I mean. But he's the guy. So if you ever look, he's the comedian that talked about this big Russian thing that they were calling like, okay, I gotta find this. Bert Kirshner. That's it. Bert. And so Bert Kirshner is a comedian and stuff too. Now he's just kind of made his way up. And if you ever have a chance to Google like his whole Russian mob like skit, it's the dive. It's hilarious. And that's how I started watching him maybe not even 10 years ago. But apparently, you guys know, you ever watch Van Wilder, the movie Van Wilder with Ryan Reynolds?
How old is it? Is it an old one or?
It's very, oh, you're so young. So it's one of Ryan Reynolds' first movies. And he's basically this college guy who's been around for a long time. He's just like, it's a hilarious, they can't make these movies now. But anyway, it's a guy who's been in college like what, 5-6 years and has finally getting his degree and he does all these like antics and he's a crazy party animal, right? And he's finally graduating and there's a whole scene with the bulldog and anyway, it's a great movie. That movie was based on Bert Kirshner's life. And he had presented it to these movie studios. And they stole it from him and recorded it anyway and didn't pay him any royalties. They kind of screwed him over big time. But he was a comedian at the time. So he's like, so do I go and I fight against these guys and I'll be known in Hollywood as the guy that was wronged and fought the company and sued everybody to get a little piece of this one movie? Or do I take it as an L, a loss, learn from it and just build up my own thing? And once if I ever get popular enough, I can tell the story about it later on. And that's what he did. He took it the other. So even though he was in the right, this is my point. Same thing with the lawyer situation with the area. Even though he was in the eyes of the right, like, was it the right move for him professionally? Or he's still wrong, and like in some people's eyes, like, so, you know what I mean? Like it sometimes you have to put not sometimes, most of the time, take your ego, put it aside. What's best for my business? What's best for my livelihood? How do I make this move forward? If you always play the victim, in every situation, you'll never get ahead in life. You'll never get ahead in business. You always be thinking in the clouds. I could have, I should have, I would have. This guy wronged me. Oh, this guy did this. Oh, this girl did this. I'm like, bro, grow the fuck up. This is life.
This is the way it is.
Life is not easy, guys. Life is not easy. Life is not meant to be easy. But listen, you learn every single way. If you don't take the loss, which in this kind of situation, your situation, it wasn't even a loss, but if you don't take the loss and you don't learn from it, you're the loser because you're not looking in a situation where it maybe didn't work out. Okay, how can I build on that and make it move forward? How can I take this kind of situation and say, make sure it doesn't happen again, make sure that everybody's, and I find that when you're amicable, everybody's good on the side, that's the best way to move forward. If you don't learn from these situations, you're the loser in that kind of sense. Like our life is meant to be learning from every situation, especially the negative ones. If you don't follow my Instagram, you should probably do. Like, I talk a lot of this about my Chinelli chats. We talk about this in my inspirational stuff. Life is supposed to be, it's not always wins. And you learn more about yourself during the losses than you will ever learn about yourself and what you're capable through every win. Think for hockey teams. Well, sports teams in general, right? If you're always winning, I always say when people go to a tournament, whenever I watch the World Juniors every single year, I like to see Team Canada have a loss or have some adversity during the round robin. Because if they don't have adversity, they'll never win the championship. They get to the final game, they see some adversity and they crumble. It doesn't matter what sport team. I think sometimes people have rosy glasses, so they think that everything's always going to be handed to them. And I say that's why our culture is very soft these days. I had an argument online with one of the teachers that I used to have a teacher over, and he was saying, like, he's different mentality, like with the community he's in is. And I said to him, I'm like, I just think we're soft. We're way too soft, from the teachers to our coaches. And, that's sort of a whole controversy, but I believe that. I know in our lifetime, in our society right now, is everything's about feelings and getting hurt. Do we need to be cold-hearted pricks? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. And yes, I think that our culture's better now that we talk about feelings more, that, that helps us with our mental state. It helps build. We don't have to be cold-hearted pricks, but I also think that the pendulum swung so much that everything has become that you offend me because I don't like, you told me this is black and I don't like how that makes me feel. Yeah. Well, guess what? The world is not there to make you feel good.
You gave me a black mug. Oh, it's because I'm black?
I'm racist.
You're racist.
Yeah.
You're racist.
Oh, wait a second. This mug is purple. Yeah. Oh, you don't see it's purple? You're racist.
Everything's coddled.
It's so bad right now. And it's like to a point where, kids can't get a red marker scratching up on a test anymore because it may hurt their feelings. Kids don't get failed anymore from school. Like failure in school is the reason, if you weren't learning in grade 4, for example, how to do a mathematical equation. And then next year you're going from 4 plus 4. And the next year you're going to 4 times 4. If you can't figure out 4 plus 4 is, how are you supposed to go to 4 times 4? But instead of that, no, we don't want to, set them back because they're going to feel wrong. Well, maybe give them an opportunity, maybe set them back a little bit, maybe give them, or back in elementary school, give them some sort of, summer school or something to bring up their grades, give an opportunity that maybe they don't get failed. We don't do that. We just let them pass on and say, you'll go. And how many athletes have we seen talk about how all they did was play football and they don't even know how to read or write, but no one talks about that shit because they're just passing them on. They don't make it feel, they're just passing them on. Again, that's a different story altogether, but I'm just saying in general, that's actually happened in our society. Yeah. The kids don't even have an athletic ability. They're just passing them along just to pass them because they don't want them to feel as if they're being left behind. Yeah.
I hate this culture, man. Well, I mean, when I have children,
hate is a strong word. We're Christian, buddy. We're not supposed to hate a lot of stuff.
I might have to.
Well, you can hate the devil, I guess.
I might have to homeschool kids whenever I get married and have a family. I think that's where it's going to be. I think by now.
I was not going to joke. I wasn't joking. I flirted with that idea when Natalie and I were conceiving, we're thinking about having children. I brought up the idea of homeschool, and she's like, "Well, who's going to?" I was at the time we both had full-time jobs. Who's going to teach them? Who's going to stay home to teach them? I'm like, "Oh shit!" And I'm like, "Well,
reality check."
Reality check is well, maybe we'll figure something else. And I'm like, I listen. I was a coach for many. I started coaching since I was 13, for crying out loud. I've been coaching hockey ever since whatever. I've always been in some sort of leadership role stuff too. I don't want to teach. I was good at coaching. Do I love it? No, it's never been. Otherwise I would have been a coach, right? It's not my passion, right? Imagine not being able to you have to want to be able to.
You have to have the patience for kids over time. Going back to the topic, right? Kind of wrap it up in the next 5 minutes. How important is reputation when it comes to business?
Huge. It's everything. In my opinion. My opinion.
It's facts.
It's facts. Your reputation is your brand. It talks about everything, right? So you can't even disassociate people from that own Walmart or Loblaws from who their owners are anymore. You're not just some hooded guy in the corner that nobody knows your name anymore. People will not buy into your company if they don't like your business ethics. I stopped following a cookie company because they were just not my ideal of what I want my children to be grown up with and all of the propaganda.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. And there's a number of those ones too. I used to love Oreo cookies, for example.
Yeah.
Did you know the symbol on the Oreo cookies is a satanic symbol, the double cross?
You know what's interesting? I was actually at Loblaws yesterday. I had a craving for dessert, so I was going by the cookie aisle, and I typically buy these ginger PC cookies. And I was so tempted to buy Oreos, and I remembered the symbolism on the cookie is very satanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, although I did have a Oreo Blizzard last night, I kind of came. I just had to. I'm sorry.
It's so good.
The mint Oreo Blizzards. Oh my god.
It's so mint.
And we fast, and I was I turned to Natalie. It was 9:30. I'm like, is it too late to have a Blizzard? She's like, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just have a protein bar because it was one of those days when if you guys work out,
sugar craving.
No, name it sugar craving. There's those days your body craves when you work out, it's your body craves protein. It just needs to have or something. It just needs it. And it was my body needed it. I was like, oh, maybe we'll just have a protein bar. She looked at me. She's like, hell no, you just put Dairy Queen in front of us. So we really need Dairy Queen. But yeah, like, so your name is associated with your brand and who you are. It is, right? Like, so my name is something. So again, I talk about, it's a little bit different with the business. I'd say a little bit different, but I think people know that I'm Christian, right? I would assume you know that by now. But you also know, like, my name is associated. What does that mean? As for me, that means I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to cheat you. I'm not going to screw you over. You know, I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, those are big ones in my opinion. That's what it means to be a Christian to me. I'm going to do the best I possibly can. I'm not going to follow any of the 7 deadly sins, which is one of the biggest deadly sins I think people don't realize is sloth. Sloth is one of the 7 deadly sins. You know what the 7 deadly sins are?
I know the 7 deadly sins.
So sloth. You've never watched the movie 7? I watched it
with Brad Pitt?
Yeah. Watch it with my kids. Like, that's how I introduced the 7 deadly sins to my kids, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I'm a little messed up. As Christians, we're not supposed to watch horror movies, but technically that's not a horror movie. It's a thriller. But I think the first one was gluttony, and the sin in the movie, and the second one is sloth, where the guy's dead in the bed for months. Like, you know, he's still alive actually at the time, but with all the air fresheners they put on there. Anyway, so that's part of my business. I am not going to fall into any of the 7 deadly sins. I'm going to work my ass off for you. So yes, I'm associated with my business. Now, that's not to say that somebody who's an atheist, or somebody that follows the Quran, or somebody that's Jewish, or somebody that is gay, or somebody that I won't serve them. That's not what I'm saying. I actually have all of those in my repertoire as my clients. I have gay clients, I have atheist clients, I have Chinese, black, white, everything, all different walks. You name it, those are my clients, right? But you just know my business ethics are tied with my religion and who I am and my name.
Yeah. So like, you gotta, even in DC, the DC talks. I know you kind of came into you're in between this situation that happened recently. And it should not have involved you, but as you reflect now, what are some of the feelings that you had in terms of like understanding the situation, knowing the relationship at hand, and how it impacted how you see things moving forward?
Well, how I saw the impact, I couldn't believe it actually happened to be. Like, I was hurt a little bit because the partnership that you had should have had nothing to do with me. I felt that what was happening was like some of all the things I had done for help you guys along the way. It was like a slap in the face. I didn't even get a phone call about it, even though I tried to reach out. I had to lawyer up.
You had to bring the big guns.
I had to bring a lawyer into this kind of relationship, which I thought we were like, you know, like, again, which I didn't ever thought was going to happen. And the other thing is, like, that person was in the wrong, and that's why, like, we have the law on the side, and they didn't have it took them a while for them to call back. That bothered me. Like, if you're in the right, you're going to call back the person in case there was a wrong in the situation. If you're any kind of business and this kind of situation, you rectify right away. According to law, it's black and white. There's no ambiguity, guys. There's no ambiguity here. It was something that happened, it was a charge that came in that shouldn't have come in. And if you're an IKEA, if there's a double charge, you show like this happened, IKEA will give you the money back, right? Or any of that kind of situation happened. Although this did happen to Enterprise with me, they never paid me back. They double charged me. This did happen to Enterprise. I just didn't go to court because then and they said, well, you signed off, and I'm like, you told me. Anyway, they double charged me for a card. I still say never, ever, ever use Enterprise. Because of that, I will never touch them ever again to ruin the relationship. But that's how I felt too. Moving forward, it's like, I will not trust this person now. And I don't think it took I trust you, right? But we also have contracts moving forward. We're always making sure everything's black and white, and we've always said that too. Like, that's black and white.
That's racist.
That's racist. But you know what I mean? I think moving forward, I'm like, I had to bring it to the attention. It's like, at the end of the day, like, according to the law, you're wrong. We have all the proof. My lawyer is like, and if this doesn't get rectified, it's going to be your reputation on the line, which is far worse, more than the amount of money you spend. Plus, you're going to have other fees on top of this as well. But it's also black and white that this is fraud. It's fraud.
Fraudulent.
It's very fraudulent.
Yeah.
I also have the law on my side too. And I'm like, let's just not do this. And I just was hurt. You know what I mean? That I had to come to, like, I had to lawyer, like, you've been in my home.
You drank my drinks.
Drank my drink. I brought you to Raptor games. And I'm like,
steak dinner, bro.
Yeah. I don't want to get in. Like I said, at the end of the day, like your family's going to know who we're talking about and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's done.
Like it is what it is. And if you're watching this, I'm hoping by the time this airs, everything gets sorted out. But just to let you know, moving forward, this won't affect the relationship unless you don't let it, because I won't, not your reputation, just your reputation in this world is everything. And if you don't make this right, we don't even have to say anything, because your actions will supersede any of the words you say, and people will know you by your fruits. Go back to the Bible. Anytime say those people that are of mine, the people that know me and know my name is the thing. And how will you know them? You will know them by their fruits. Mm-hmm. And right now we are seeing the fruits of which side that they're on.
And we'll end the show right there, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you got some value out of this. A lot of stuff we talk about pertains to our personal lives and things that we observe on the outside, and we give you our perspective. I've been your gracious host, Mr. Agent 00. Mr. Chinelli's on the other side, sharing his perspective. And we'll definitely see you next week for episode 79 with Mr.
Nick Petrella.
DC is going to have that show between him and Nick. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment below on what you think about business partnerships, reputations, and how important it is to really get ahead in this world. And follow David at David V Chinelli_realtor on Instagram for any real estate needs. And yes,
I'm the one with the little blue check.
Blue check. He's verified. That means he's important. And we'll see you next week, guys. Ciao.
Ciao.